Last night, Julius Randle recorded a 24-point triple-double, playing 40 minutes with 10 boards, 12 assists, and a team-high plus 14 plus-minus in a 102-97 win over the Golden State Warriors, putting the Minnesota Timberwolves up 2-1 in this series. And with Steph being ailed by this hamstring injury, the Wolves are now in the driver's seat to head to their second straight Western Conference Finals, largely thanks to one of their newest players in Julius Randle. And now that we're 8 games into his 2024-2025 playoff campaign, I think it's time that we finally start giving him some flowers. He's completely flipped the narrative in these playoffs on his playoff reputation. Remember, in New York in 2021 and mainly in 2023 when he was third team All-NBA, he fell completely short in the playoffs, putting up absolute stinkers, averaging 17 points per game, shooting a horrendous 34% from the field, 28% from three, and just 3.7 assists per game. But this year, he's averaging 22.4 points per game on 47.7% from the field, 5.8 rebounds, and 6.4 assists per game. Just a complete 180 turnaround. And don't worry, we'll talk more about how important Julius Randle has been to these Minnesota Timberwolves in these playoffs. But first, we got to back this up a little bit. This past calendar year, and even further out than that, has been a pretty rough one for Julius Randle, beginning with dislocating his shoulder last January as a New York Knick, ending his season, and then just 3 weeks before the 2024-2025 season kicked off, his world would be rocked in that blockbuster trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves, trading Cat to the Knicks, and in return, Julius, Dante DiVincenzo, and that Pistons 2025 pick went back to Minnesota. And obviously there were a lot of different opinions about this trade, but I would say probably the most popular one was that the Knicks got the best player in this. Julius Randle is not made for the moment, and that the Wolves kind of just did this because of the CBA. Nobody was thinking that Julius Randle could fit in with the Minnesota Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards. He's a ball stopper. He doesn't play hard on defense. He's a selfish player. He doesn't know how to be a number two. Those were all things being said about Julius Randle heading into this season. Admittedly, it seemed like people were right early on in this season as the Wolves were trying to get chemistry together. Julius had a little riff with Rudy on the court, and he just was not bought in defensively for a team that was the #1 overall defense last year, with that being their identity. But Chris Finch saw the vision in Julius Randle. He coached him in New Orleans back in 2019. On January 30th versus the Utah Jazz, Julius Randle would pull his groin. The Wolves were 27-21 at that point. He would sit out about a month, and they had actually lost 2 more games that they had won in that time frame, going 33-29. That time off proved to be essential for Julius Randle, learning more and more about his teammates and how he can be the best player for his teammates possible. Once he came back on March 2nd, the Wolves would finish the season going 17-4, and they just looked like a completely different offense. Julius Randle was playmaking, he was playing harder defensively, and he was also taking charge in correct moments when it was appropriate, when Anthony Edwards needed him to. But they matched up with the Lakers in the first round of the playoffs, and everyone was picking the Lakers. Nobody thought that Julius Randle could be this player he was down the stretch of the year in the playoffs. And they also kind of just wrote Minnesota off as a team that played a pretty easy schedule down the stretch. Nobody was fully believing the Wolves were this good. Everything changed in that Lakers series. It was Julius Randle that was the one, when the Wolves struggled offensively, when their offense was stalling, that was able to go and get a bucket. He was their stabilizing force. But it's not just that. All right, guys, so the NBA playoffs is in full swing. We'll talk about that more in a second, but that's why today I've teamed up with my friends at DraftKings, and we're here to bring you an unbeatable offer. Bet just $5 as a new customer and get up to $200 in bonus bets instantly. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, type in my code HARDWOOD upon sign up, bet those $5, and you'll get that bonus bet offer. And you can use those however you want to. Same game parlays, live, player props, straights, whatever you think is best. And if sports betting isn't available in your region, don't worry, DraftKings Pick 6 has you covered, letting you join in on the excitement and compete for cash prizes. So don't wait, download the DraftKings Sportsbook now, bet just $5, get $200 in bonus bets. What are you waiting for? Use my code Hardwood today. Thank you so much to DraftKings for sponsoring this video. Let's get back into it. In this Lakers series, you saw how he was working his butt off defensively. He actually guarded LeBron very well, and when he was switched on to Luka, he did well on him as well. Looking at guys on my Twitter feed that were Knicks fans, they were absolutely astounded that Julius Randle was playing this hard defensively. They even said this is the most effort they've ever seen him put together on the defensive end. But if you listen to post-game press conferences, which I do recommend all of you guys do, they're very insightful, Julius talks about it. He talks about he just wants to win, and he's willing to do whatever his team needs. I think that's a maturity thing with Julius that he's really been able to just hammer home this season. Without Julius Randle, the Wolves do not beat the Lakers in 5 games. We saw this last year with this Wolves team offensively. They would stall out for 5-6 minutes at a time. Nobody could get a bucket if Ant couldn't get one. Cat was not someone who could create his own shot. The difference this year is Julius can, and he has the ability to do so. Meanwhile, in New York, he was the #1 option at that point. Brunson in 2023 had just been in New York for his first year. He was really still kind of breaking out as a star. And then Randle didn't play in the 2024 playoffs. So I think that's the biggest difference with Julius in these playoffs is it takes so much pressure off Anthony Edwards. Plus, the Wolves are also one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. So when you give the ball to Julius, you allow him to go to work, you give Ant a break, and you combine that with incredible spacing, especially when Rudy's not on the floor. It gives Julius Randle the ability to just be way more successful than being a #1 option. Julius has also just been so physical in these playoffs. He bullied LeBron multiple times in the Lakers series. And if we quickly talk about this game specifically, there were a couple moments in that second half when Draymond Green was in foul trouble. There were a couple times where Julius went right at him in the post and finished right through him, which you just do not see people doing to Draymond Green. And with this Warriors series, the Wolves dropped that first game even with Steph getting injured early in it. But this Warriors team, they muck things up. They make things very challenging defensively. And in these 2 wins, if you look at Julius's stat lines, you can just see he's been absolutely essential for their offense. In game 2, he had 24 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists, plus 17 plus minus. And like we said, 24, 10, and 12. But I was curious how the advanced stats look at Julius's play in these playoffs so far. Cleaning the Glass absolutely loves him. Besides Jaden McDaniels, who by the way deserves his own video in and of itself, Julius is second best on the Wolves in efficiency differential with plus 11.5. A lot of that coming on the offensive end, but look, defensively, he's actually been a huge plus as well. He's been better than even Gobert on the defensive end, just from a pure points per possession basis. And then lastly, we have to talk about Minnesota in the clutch these playoffs. Like I've said before, offense has been the biggest issue the past 2 years for this Minnesota team, primarily in the clutch. And even this year, they were 20th in the league in clutch time, just 20 and 26 this year. But in the playoffs, they're 4-0. And if we take a look at everybody in the NBA in these playoffs this year, you'll see just how good the Wolves have been in clutch time. Naz Reid, Dante, Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, and Jaden McDaniels are all in the top 6. The Wolves have a 155.2 offensive rating in the clutch and a 72.7 defensive rating. That's a net rating of 82.4. Absolutely berserk. Even just taking a look at this article from Mark Spears at Anscape, you can see this quote from Julius really just shows you what type of mentality he is in this season. He says, "We're very connected as a team. We showed ourselves that we can win in multiple ways. We have a very versatile, diverse team. Different guys stepped up in different moments. We have a lot of confidence in our group as a whole that it's not all on one person. We know Ant's our guy. He's going to be special every night, but for the rest of us, it's not going to be all on one person. We can win and different guys can step up at different moments." And that really is the silver bullet for this Minnesota Timberwolves team, is that there's no egos on this team, even Rudy Gobert as well. Nobody cares who closes. At the end of the day, they're versatile. They can close with an all-5 lineup that can all switch and shoot, or they can close with Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert. providing a little bit more of half-court offense and rim protection. But at the end of the day, nobody's getting mad at Finch if they don't close a game because everyone just wants to win with these 8 guys that all could start 4 different NBA teams. So with that being said, Julius Randle, have yourself a playoffs, man. Keep it up. I love it. I know a lot of the NBA world loves it as well. And this is why it's important that we don't just write guys off. I mean, obviously he's got to prove it, but sometimes certain situations are just better for guys. Like Finch has been able to tap into something with Julius Randle, with him being the number 2, even buying in defensively, that just wasn't there for Julius Randle, the New York Knick. And I think the scariest thing about this Wolves team is that they have not played anywhere near their best basketball yet in these playoffs. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. Julius Randle, hats off to you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and supporting me. I'll be back with more playoff videos soon. Sorry I haven't done as many as I did last year. We'll try to change that. And as always, we'll see you on the hardwood.